Hey y'all, my name is Sally Loftus, and I'm a human resources consultant who works primarily with small businesses and nonprofits who have 50 employees or less. I am here today to talk through some strategy, which is my focus this month in the April 2026 blog posts and tools that I've shared on my website. Today, what I'm going to do is walk you through how to use AI, specifically Gemini, which is my preferred AI, on building a theory of change for your nonprofit. And before we get started, just to remind you kind of if you need a theory of change or don't know what that is, a theory of change really just kind of tells you what do we do, how do we do it, and how are people impacted or communities impacted by the work that we do. So it's different than a mission, vision, and values. It's actually kind of like, looking at, and we'll go through this, looking at the actual solutions and how they're changing things in the community and depending on where your nonprofit works. Today, what I'm going to do is use an example of a nonprofit that I ran for 10 months called Feeding Avery Families, and they're a food pantry and they provide food for people in need. And so, one thing about that group is that they have very much focused on kind of providing that food and increasing access and don't do as much, maybe kind of what is called upstream work, which would be advocacy. So just knowing that today, kind of that's where this group is, that the work we do today can kind of get larger or more expansive or even more complex based on how far across you're working in your community and who your partners might be. So let's go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through this. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to go, there are some AI prompts that I'm going to use today. And you're going to go to my website, which is loftuspartners.org. And if you're here in the month of April 2026, this is going to be the top thing. But you'll see here, there's the whole post about nonprofit strategy. But I've put out here several tools that you can use. And if you look here and scroll down, there's several of these here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this particular tool, which is the Gemini AI prompts for creating a nonprofit theory of change. And this is really going with the assumption that one, you don't know what your theory of change is, or maybe you just want to kind of try AI for the first time. Maybe you have a theory of change and are just curious kind of what are some other ways to work within that theory of change and have another input. Maybe it's all of the above, who knows? But I'm going to walk you through that today. So when you click here, you get this list of things that you can do. So I'm going to walk you through the first four. And what I have done, just so you know, is that these are what's on this worksheet are generic. So you're going to need to put your specific nonprofit information in. So what I have done is taken these first four prompts and actually copied them onto an email and then put the organization information in so that when I'm working within AI, I can just drop those in and I'm not having to do it in real time. So just know that I did that ahead of time because I like to be a little bit organized. So let's go ahead in here and we're going to get into Gemini, which is a generative AI that's actually produced by Google. And you can see over here, I've done a lot of work on my Gemini. What I like about Gemini is that I use a Google workspace. And so whatever I put into the Gemini within my workspace is not scraped for data to support other people. So like ChatGPT or other places, like this keeps what I put in here inside my workspace and keeps it confidential. So I really like that. Let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't used AI before, typically there is, and this is the free Gemini, but again, this is in my workspace that I pay for, but you started a new chat. And so I'm going to go over here to my email and you'll see, like I said, I did a little bit of prep work. And I'm going to copy and paste this first thing. And so, like I said, this is the first prompt on the handout. I'm using this for Feeding Avery Families, which is a food pantry nearby where I worked. And I wanted to do that because I thought this would help me. And so the first prompt is really just, I just need AI to build the theory of change for me. And I kind of put in what the focus of the organization was and put the organization's website in there. And then I'm asking AI to act as a strategic consultant for me and conduct a situation analysis. So kind of tell me like what's causing food insecurity in my area. Who are the certain groups that maybe we need to target with our work beyond just the general community? And then are there any barriers to change or gaps that maybe we're not seeing right now? So this is all I'm putting into AI. I'm going to click and it's going to take a few seconds, but it's going to produce some information for me. Just for the record, I find that Gemini kind of typically does like an executive summary at the top, maybe 2 or 3 sentences. A lot of times we'll build a table like you see here. And as you can see, and then it's gonna give you a lot of information that you can kind of export into what you need. And I will say another thing about theory of change is this is really important whenever you're asking for money, whether it be through grants or through individual donors. It's important for them to understand why your theory of change works, maybe versus other people. So it's really important to have this information. And you can see it kind of gave out like a 3-tiered analysis around individual, institutional, and systemic, which is what I gave it to do. And so I really like how it kind of gives me some of the data out there about Avery County specifically. When I look at AI stuff that I generate, I usually try to read through it to see if I agree with it. And I do know, because I worked in this role for 10 months as the executive director, I do know that this is true, that typically, many of our residents here don't have access to any kind of emergency funds. They are really battling how to pay bills while also eating. Also know institutionally that the rate of pay here is much lower than what the cost of living is. And then systemically, we live in a food desert. And that really only got exacerbated after Hurricane Helene. So you can kind of see the information that this worked through. I'm kind of skimming it and I'm like, yep, I agree with all that. So this is all great information for me to think about and talk about. And what you could do, even for instance, if you're building this and maybe you with a board, you could have a conversation with your board about this information. You could have it with your staff. It can be a starting point rather than starting from scratch, because I find that a lot of people's brains are hijacked right now because we have so much going on. So having a starting place really helps the conversation. So this is kind of what came up in it. And so you can see it's going to ask me, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? I'm going to keep on with my prompts, but you can always come back to these later. Another thing is that if you use like a chat GPT, it'll typically ask if you want it to generate an image for you. That's always helpful. I use Notebook for that, but let's go ahead and go, and you'll see I had this here, translate this into a visual. But let's go ahead and do our next prompt, which is really building on what it just did for us. And we're going to put this in here, and I copy and pasted it. And let's see what it comes up with. So this is the backwards mapping method. So I'm asking it, for instance, one of our programs we had at Feeding Avery Families was the mobile food distribution program, because not everybody had access to get to where we were based on where they were in the county, their work schedules, availability of transportation, things like that. So that's what this is doing, is taking a specific program at the nonprofit and really just about kind of what's the long-term impact of the work you do. And again, these are really great concepts that you can use in grant applications. This community food sovereignty, thinking about how you could, really reduce illnesses and food insecurity in your organization and in community. You can see how kind of some of this stuff came out in some of the outcomes. It's pulling data from the internet. Again, you can kind of get as detailed or not in it. I love this sometimes, I've been asking it to be a strategic consultant. It's saying, as a consultant, this is going to be part of your key performance indicators. So Thinking about like if you're trying to create a dashboard, which I have a tool for that in the area around strategy, what are some things you could measure there? So if you go again, so this is again, that was kind of the backwards mapping of a specific program. Let's look at, like, if you're doing some of your strategic planning, you may say, okay, I like what you're saying here, AI. I like what you're talking about. With these desired outcomes, help me kind of get a plan together. Like, what are some of the activities we need to do? What are some of the things we need to change? And so I'm going to put this in, click, and it's going to kind of output this. So what I encourage you is, really thinking about reviewing what's in here. Is there some language maybe that you like in here that you can use? Some visuals. Again, sometimes I take this work, like I might copy and paste all this into a document and then upload it into what's called Notebook. Which is a companion to the Google Workspace, and it's really good about creating slide decks and infographics. That's what I use them the most for. So this might be a really good thing that you could take and put in and then create a visual for your board and for your staff and donors and things like that. So you see it's kind of basically talking about here's some, strategic stops you could have for mobile food distribution. Here's why that might work. Here's what, the impact that will happen. So you see, it's all very fast. It's just really kind of looking at what it's produced. And a lot of times I'm going to come in here and take the last one and put it in here. A lot of times I might copy and paste this into a document and then kind of continue working on it, maybe taking some things out, maybe rewording things, adding specific examples. Again, I like it because it's a starter place that helps me thinking and helps me sometimes outline things in really streamlined ways, because I can be a talker or I can be kind of long writer, and that's what I like about this. So here's kind of the last question, or the last prompt I'm putting it in, was around to get to these outcomes. What needs to happen? If we want to eliminate hunger by providing the supplemental food assistance, which is the mission of the organization, what help do we need? And so it's really talking about like partnerships and collaborations, which I know from my experience are crucial in this work. And these are all people that we worked with. But again, I like how it kind of gives me this streamlined opportunity to kind of look at some things and break some things out. So this is just a really quick overview for you of how you can use AI in creating some of your strategy. Specifically, this is for the theory of change. You can go to my website, loftuspartners.com/strategy-tools to download the AI prompts. And I'm so curious to hear what you're learning about these and how you're using these in your work. Have a great day.